Have we been? Burnt Rubber Racing is back. We're live streaming a podcast. Oh wait, we're actually recording a podcast. Zach, we're totally outdoing ourselves here this week. You know, we set the expectations low, and it's Daytona 2.0, man. So we've got to come through. You are listening to and watching Burnt Rubber Racing as we sit down and record here a day earlier than usual on a Wednesday, but we're getting it in. And we have got plenty to talk about after being every which where between the two of us here. It feels like the last couple of weeks. Last one was in a camper at Watkins Glen. Jeez, how are you doing? How was your trip? Do you want to tell everyone where you've been, what you've been up to, or are those details better left unsaid?
I mean, I went to Disney World to go see my brother. He works down there. I'm not going to say where for his protection, but as far as everything, we got to talk about this. I was down there. I was watching this on my phone. I saw Briscoe turn Hamlin. We have to talk about this. I know we're not going to go through the whole race. We have to at least talk about this, though. What is your thoughts on Briscoe and Hamlin?
Yeah, so what Zach's alluding to, before we get into this past weekend's racing action, which we actually had all four series in action, so we got plenty of recaps and analysis to get to from Michigan and IndyCar as well. Obviously, NASCAR was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. We've both been, complaining about this all year, I feel like, because they took away the real Brickyard 400. My reactions to the late race incident, I don't know how Chase Briscoe goes off the grass, does not come right back on, and doesn't know he doesn't have a penalty. It was, I guess, what he was trying to explain to Denny Hamlin there. Now, I get that he's caught up in the moment. He's going for that win he needs to sneak into the playoffs here, crash the party, if you will. And maybe he did know he had a penalty all along, and his frustrations got the best of him. Apparently, he didn't know where he was supposed to serve that penalty either. Like he asked in turn 8 or 10 or something, and missed the correct spot to serve it, if I'm not mistaken. But man, what a wild finish between that and, I mean, the curbing. Good grief, just a. I thought Austin Dillon was spot on when he said, the back half of this race here it kind of got turned into a demolition derby. Was it entertaining to watch cars fly over jumps and splinter to pieces? Yeah, a little bit, but that was not how anyone wanted that race to go. And just bring the oval back. But I don't know. Are you going to echo my thoughts here, or where do you stand?
I'm not going to say anything about the curbing. That is another. We could both go on an episode just on Indy itself. But as far as Briscoe and Hamlin, in my opinion, I think Hamlin forced Briscoe off track. Briscoe went through the grass to avoid contact, like has been for every. I shouldn't say every other track, but at Daytona, Talladega, where if you get forced down there, there's no penalty. He went through, gave the spot back to Hamlin. Briscoe could have just thrown it out there and kept the spot, but he gave it back to Hamlin. In my opinion, he should have been penalized. And I think there was a little delay in the with telling him. I don't know if his spotter told him or if he just told the crew chief, because basically we're talking about Channel 2 and whatnot. But as far as Briscoe dumping Hamlin, the jury's still out. I don't know. Like I said, we don't know the radio, how everything went down on the radio. We probably will never know. But as far as that goes, if Briscoe knew he didn't have a penalty, I mean, if he knew he had a penalty, that's not fair to Hamlin or anything like that. But if he didn't know, it's fair game. But Dinger calling wins before Trackhouse, before 23-11, and just like we all thought, AJ Allmendinger gets a win in the Cup Series this year before Harvick and Hamlin.
I mean, I don't think either of us are complaining about that, right? We're big Kaulig fans, the both of us here, big Dinger fans. Dinger finally gets a win on the Indy road course there, so that was huge just for him and knowing his open wheel background. And Kaulig Racing, not even full time. Yeah, they're waiting until next year to do that, but they get the Indy road course win. And like you said, we'll probably never know the true what Briscoe knew and did not know when he spun Hamlin around. Honestly, if I'm in that position and I know I got a penalty too, I might be looking for something to take my frustrations out on. I could see that being the case should he have known. I am that competitive, so I get it, but he should have been penalized if he didn't know. Anyway, Burnt Rubber Racing. This is episode 24, Zach McAdoo. It is the William Byron, or we might as well just say a Jeff Gordon episode. He's the real 24 until Byron wins, I don't know, a lot of races, I guess, to catch up to him at this point. But we have got a lot to talk about. We're going to dive into Michigan. This past weekend, the Cup Series was there. Really a lot going on in that race here. And we'll also look at what happened in Xfinity and the first race of the Truck Series playoffs. That was actually a Worldwide Technology Raceway, and that's where IndyCar was as well. They were in action in a wild IndyCar race, so a lot to take away from there, a lot of movement in the points standings, things really tightening up and shifting around after that open wheel run. Got some news and notes, and then it is off to Daytona for the second time this year, the Coke Zero Sugar 400. We're going to break it down, look at some stats, look at some betting odds. We'll give you some picks and our thoughts, but before we get there, we got to kind of, ease in, set the table again. We're probably a little rusty, so we might as well catch ourselves up too, since it's been a little while. And oh, by the way, you can subscribe and follow us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, do your thing wherever you get your podcast pretty much. Burnt Rubber Racing is there. Your initial thoughts on the Michigan race. Now, I know I read your recap article, obviously. That's up on flurrysports.org. Check out the NASCAR section, all kinds of stuff going up there this week ahead of Daytona too. You're not a fan of the package at Michigan. You want to see that change, so I'm kind of teasing your thoughts with that. But in the end, we did have a great finish here, right? Ryan Blaney winning the closest finish ever at Michigan since electronic scoring went into effect. So curious to hear your thoughts on the package and just the race in general here with that close of a finish.
This race was essentially follow the leader except restarts and pit stops. That's not a good race. I don't know what, it was a close finish. It was a close finish. Yes, because no one could pass the leader when they got up to second. The clean air was too strong. The push-pull, just everything was wrong with this package. It was so bad. Please do not bring this package back. It just makes no sense.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? You can't have a guy leading the race and cars behind him are getting runs and they're just pushing him away as soon as they get close to him. That's not exactly entertaining racing. We saw that all throughout the day. It didn't really matter who was in front, and Blaney gets the lead on the last restart. And, both William Byron and Kyle Larson are running him down, but they can't make that pass. So Blaney holds on. But, man, Ford is on an incredible run in their backyard at Michigan. I think that's 7 straight wins now for Mustangs at Michigan International Speedway. I mean, I guess it's kind of fitting, but there was more than just a very close finish in this race. A few different moments, I think, that stood out for us. And, I mean, I can get this started. It's very easy. Austin Dillon described his car as a rocket ship. Austin Dillon needed a big points day and or a win to, kind of throw the guy, the hat you're wearing there, his teammate, Tyler Reddick, for a loop as far as the playoffs are concerned. Austin Dillon had a car that could win this race. Finished third in stage 1. Passes Brad Keselowski to get an extra stage point at the end of stage 2, and then he is into the wall. When I first initially saw the replays, I leaned towards Brad didn't give him enough room there. I went back and watched the replay a few more times. Austin Dillon was coming up pretty quick after they crossed the start-finish line. To me, I came away with the conclusion, and I'm content with the conclusion, pure racing accident. But either way, it ruined a very promising day for Dillon and the 3 team. And now they go to Daytona basically in must-win mode, like everyone not named Tyler Reddick if they want that last playoff spot. So your thoughts on that, and what else stood out to you from Michigan here?
So, we'll talk about. I'll bring up the Austin Dillon stuff first. I was nervous, honestly. Everyone who's watching YouTube, you can see the Reddick hat. We've talked how
he doesn't work at Jimmy John's anymore.
Yeah, I forget Jimmy John's. It's not happening. Which I found out. I didn't know that Jimmy John's got Harvick. Did you know that?
Well, Harvick's getting Subway here for a couple of races in the playoffs by the looks. So
And
a full 180 there.
Yeah, let's just ruin some news there. But yeah, I was a nervous wreck as a Reddick fan for this because here's Austin Dillon gaining points. Reddick can't stay in the top 10 for more than 10 laps, it felt like. And then here's, I shouldn't say a gift, but a positive. Can you call it a positive for a Reddick because his teammate took himself out? Okay, let's break down the Keselowski thing because I was getting in trouble on Twitter a little bit. I had people call me blind because of what I saw.
What did you see? Please share.
So what I saw at first was Keselowski came down to side draft Austin, just like Austin did to him. He came down to side draft. Austin tried to come back up, but within 100 feet, 200 feet after the start-finish line where he tried to turn, and guess what? Keselowski's still there. You can't expect the guy to let up that quickly when you're hard racing. I mean, I'm not even going to get any more into this one because I'm already tired of it. But
I'm right with you. Like, my initial thought was Keselowski really pushing the agenda there. You know, you're racing for a stage point. It's the end of the stage. Give the guy a little room once you're over the line. But then, you know, you watch the replay from, I don't know if it took a different angle for me or what exactly, or maybe it was just my initial reaction was like, damn, he spun him out because he lost, it looked like a bad look, right? Austin Dillon was trying to come back up off the apron immediately after they were across the line. So could Keselowski have given him a little more room there? Yes, he was going to lose the stage point. I think that was pretty obvious given the run Dillon had on him. Did he need to be that tight? I don't think so. But Dillon came up early. And so that's why, to me, I can't put blame on anyone. I think
no,
Dillon,
there's no malicious intent.
Right, yeah.
And what people have to realize is Keselowski's going to be a part owner next year. He already knows how much goes into the cars and how much work the pit crews how much work the pit crews put into the cars. He's not going to do that on purpose.
Right.
If you honestly think that Keselowski did that on purpose, raise your hand and slap yourself with it because you need help.
This wasn't for a stage win. This was for sixth. So it's not like he's getting a playoff point here or anything either. But yeah, anything else that stood out to you, I guess, from the first couple of stages or even the final stage here? A lot was going on, and we even had a little impromptu weather delay it didn't look like any weather at the track, but I guess it made things a little more interesting down the stretch.
I mean, there were a couple of drops at Kurt Busch's in-car, and I shouldn't say in-car, but his camera on top of the car. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how NASCAR did not throw a yellow for Reddick spinning after he cut a tire with 5 laps to go.
Correct, yes. It was down there.
Are you kidding me? What? I guarantee you, if it was any Hendrick car, a caution would have come out. But because it was Reddick, it was a guy who's mid-pack. Shouldn't say mid-pack anymore. It's a guy who's not up there, hasn't won a race yet. They're not going to throw a caution because, we're going to let him go. I was mad, but.
Well, you know what what's kind of interesting? Because they didn't throw a yellow, Reddick finishes 29th, only 7 spots better than Dillon.
Yeah.
Kind of keeps a little point battle there alive if you want to look at maybe some extra levels of interest as we head to Daytona, the final race of the regular season. I don't know.
Austin gained 3 points in Reddick Sunday, even though he crashed out.
Yeah, those stage points were a big help for him. He didn't even finish the race, and he's gaining points. It is still, I believe, a 31-point gap between 25. The two. Right? 25. Yeah, you're right, as usual. So Dillon's got a lot of work to do. Reddick, that's the number. If Reddick gets 31 points minimum at Daytona this week, he's good on points. So it would take a winner below the cut line to knock him out of the field of 16. So he just needs 31 points in this race, no matter stage, finish, whatever.
No, you can't say that because if you get a new winner, he's out.
Right, I said if he unless there's a new winner, that if he gets 31 points, it would take a new winner.
But you still can't say if he gets 31 points because that would still be in no matter what. Is Reddick's goal right now? Listen, Reddick's goal, finish. Just make sure just 1 point ahead of Austin Dillon. That's it. That's his only goal. If a new winner happens, there's nothing he can do about it. His goal is to just finish 1 point ahead of Austin Dillon.
All right. I'm not even going to talk anymore RCR with you because you're invested in this race between the two teammates. And so, it was bad at Michigan for both of them. Let's just say that. I think he could have thrown a caution there. I kind of agree with you, as reluctant as I am to say it. And I'm a guy who wants to see Reddick win a race still because we're both on that train. But I don't know if I could deal with you if he gets into the playoffs. You keep going with this.
What is wrong?
Well, all right. So here's the thing, right? Both RCR cars, definitely disappointing days, particularly Austin Dillon, what could have been at Michigan. Some other notable finishes, though. How about on the positive side of the circle? Matt DiBenedetto, top 5 car for felt like half of this race, consistently in the top 10. Lacked a little bit of long run speed. Turned out he didn't need it because the race ended with a couple of late race restarts. So, that's all fine and good. 6th place. I know he's not in the playoff field. I know he has to win at Daytona to get into the playoffs. Matt DiBenedetto has quietly had no finish worse than 11th since before Road America. So, like early July, we're talking Pocono, I think it was his last time finishing outside of the top 11 in a race. Been doing well on the road courses. The Wood brothers are running well. So he might be a sneaky, surprise guy. Maybe he can steal a win in the playoffs, whether he's in or not. Get win number 100 there for that organization. The other one that stood out to me, and I don't really know where he came from. He was just up there at the end all of a sudden. Chase Briscoe. He wasn't running up front most of the way. Kind of fell back a little bit based on where he restarted there on older tires, but still a solid run of 11th. That 14 team, I know they're probably not going to be in the playoffs, but it's his rookie season. He's making progress. And I think based on how this season started for the Stewart-Haas cars, the organization as a whole, and kind of how it's progressed, Harvick doesn't even have a win yet. They have to be happy with the progress Briscoe's making. So those were the two on the positive end of the circle that stood out to me. Your thoughts on those? Anyone else, positive or negative, from Michigan for you in terms of finish and race in general?
So I'm going to go ahead and say, just go to the negatives. And it's
Debbie Downer
funny.
over here. Debbie Downer. Great.
You can't stop Debbie Downer, It's like the skit.
Every show needs a Debbie Downer, so glad it's you.
Yeah. So, if you listen, it'll make sense. So Harvick goes into the week winning 3 of the last 4 at Michigan.
Yeah.
One of the favorites I want to say for going into Michigan, probably not odds wise, but
third choice. Actually, the third choice. He's plus 750 when it went off.
And he goes out and finishes 14th.
And never challenged.
No. So as far as Harvick, something has to happen in the playoffs because I don't see anything happening at Daytona. Harvick, if he doesn't prove to me something, if Harvick doesn't prove something at Darlington, I'm afraid he's out in the first round.
That was going to be my next question: does he get by the first round? But he answered it before I could ask.
Imagine thinking back before Daytona, telling someone that Harvick is going to be out before the first round. They would look at you like you're a lunatic.
Well, not even that. Imagine, what were the odds, if there were odds on it, before the Daytona 500? That Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, we'd be coming back to Daytona for the final race of the regular season, and neither of those guys have won.
Yeah.
What would that price have been?
15 wins last year, I think. 15 or 16 wins last year, and neither of them.
They dominated.
Neither of them have a win through 25 races.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Anyone else that jumped out to you? Trying to think.
Okay, I'll go back to positive. Kyle Larson. His first time back to the track since 2019, where he used to be really good here. I don't know what happened in 2019, but Larson had 3 wins at Michigan, I believe. And he comes back for his first time here and goes out and finishes third. So he's still doing pretty good here at Michigan. Had the dominant car, I believe.
100% agree. I don't know how you consider anyone but Kyle Larson to be the favorite to take home the title and really to win a race basically every week at this point. It seems like he's good. at every type of track. I was just going back, looking at Daytona stats, obviously writing some articles and stuff to get ready for the race this weekend. Third in the 500. We don't even think about that because it was so long ago and so much has happened since then. He's won 5 races. There have been so many different winners. Obviously, Michael McDowell stole the show. There was a last lap crash. Gets his first career win. Kyle Larson's right there.
Not to correct you, but Austin Dillon finished third in the 500.
Where did Kyle Larson finish?
Probably 4th.
He was right up there.
Yeah.
It was a top 10. I know maybe it was low top 10. Maybe I got the two of them mixed up. I don't know. He was in the top 10 of the 500. The 5 car is there each and every week. The 5 car is the car to beat each and every week. And like you said, it's his first time back in Michigan in 2 years, and he's running well there. So, good stuff. I think I'm with you on the package. Maybe we can clean that up a little bit when we go to the next gen car. Xfinity Series was also in action at Michigan this past weekend. And, we said the name earlier because he won the Cup race at Indy. AJ Allmendinger riding that momentum train now as he takes home the Xfinity Series win at Michigan. There was some late race chaos in this one as well, but for the Dinger, that is win number 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, on the season. And he only trails Austin Cindric. So, it really kind of feels like as the Xfinity playoffs approach, it's a Cindric and AJ Allmendinger battle, but that's just me. Brandon Jones, Noah Gragson, Josh Berry got a little extra action there in the Cup race on Sunday, filling in for Corey LaJoie as well. And then Harrison Burton round out your top 5. Any takeaways, observations from Xfinity? I'm going to be completely honest to the listeners. This is the race that I am the thinnest on in terms of observations this week because I may or may not have seen the whole thing. So
I didn't see anything. Saturday, I was in the car all day. I didn't watch. Well, okay, I shouldn't say in the car all day because we stopped at a hotel. But I didn't see any of this.
Did you go to the bathroom?
Okay, Weisenheimer. I said next time I'm wearing a damn diaper, forget it. I'm not stopping to go.
We got stuck in traffic one time when we were kids coming back from vacation to Long Island, and my brother had to go in a little water bottle. So that was fun. But I didn't know if you did the same thing. I wanted to ask. I wanted to make sure.
No.
I didn't want you to hold it either. That's not healthy. So go ahead.
No, it's not. But so I wasn't able to see any of this. I was kind of disappointed for Josh Berry. I thought it sounded like Josh had the win in hand until a late caution kind of messed him out of it. He ends up finishing 4th, which, yeah, it sucks. But I am glad to see he's going to be in junior motorsports equipment next year. But you don't know who's out.
We do not know who is out. That is a good point. But the news that Zach alluded to there that has happened since our camper episode a few weeks ago, Josh Berry will be driving full-time for junior motorsports in the Xfinity Series next year. So his success in a part-time role this year, obviously making that decision probably pretty easy for that organization, and another strong run in Michigan for him this past weekend. How about the truck, Zach? The playoffs getting underway, not at Michigan, but at Worldwide Technology Raceway in St. Louis at the Gateway, whatever they call it down there, I guess.
Worldwide Technology Raceway.
This race had a little bit of everything if we want to talk about chaos. Sheldon Creed gets the win. That was pretty cool after meeting him briefly at Watkins Glen. I'm sure you were feeling the same way I was about that. He was strong all night, dominated the first half of the race, it felt like, as well, on his way to the victory. So he is into the next round of the playoffs just like that. Matt Crafton second, Ben Rhodes third, Stuart Friesen fourth, Johnny Sauter, the only non-playoff driver, but he rounds out the top 5. Man, speaking of this race having everything. All right. GMS trucks were fast at first. It really only panned out for Sheldon Creed in the end, though. Then there was a power outage. The lights went out. Have you ever seen this at a race before? I can't think of a race. Maybe I'm blanking, but I feel like it's always NBA games, and then of course Super Bowl, whatever it was there, that the 49ers got screwed. But I
can't think of Super Bowl
can't
either.
remember.
But there was one race, I think it was 2015 Phoenix in the Truck Series, where it was a night race and the lights went out. They had to, and it went out twice. They ended up calling the race the second time. So
wow,
there is precedent of this happening before.
So you got a better memory than me then, for sure.
Yeah, the NASCAR story remembers this. Let's just.
Yeah, that's you in a nutshell. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, let alone that the lights went out in a truck race 6 years ago or whatever it's been. But they did go out at Worldwide Technology on the trucks this past Friday. So the red flag, I think, lasted close to 50 minutes. Obviously unique stuff there for sure. Chandler Smith, he had mechanical issues early in this race, but that team, I got to give them some credit here as we're just kind of breaking down some thoughts and some finishers here from the first NASCAR Trucks playoff race of the postseason. They got him back out there, and then thanks to late race chaos, he actually finished ahead of two fellow playoff drivers, Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith. So Chandler Smith, obviously they would have loved to have a better day, but credit to that team for fighting on and getting him back out there and getting all the points that they could salvage. And it wasn't just him having a rough night for Kyle Busch Motorsports. John Hunter Nemechek finished 22nd. He was struggling early in this race throughout. Really just a weird, I don't know. Like, this one felt very turned upside down in a lot of ways, even though the playoff drivers were running up near the front for a lot of it. I don't know. Was that your general takeaway here? Because some of the finishes, I think, are just, really surprising to me. And obviously a lot went down in the second half in terms of wrecks and whatnot.
I didn't see any of this race. I'm not going to lie. So we're just going to move on.
All right.
It was my last day in the park. I watched the fireworks for Stupid.
Right. So Disney fireworks over Truck Series playoffs. Got it. Let me make a mental note of that. Did you see the real news out of this race, though? You know where I'm going with this.
Do I?
See.
Someone got their first career top 10 finish.
Oh my God! No, you're gonna really force this on to start.
Huh?
Just go ahead and play it. I know where you're going with this.
Hailie Deegan, baby. Hailie Deegan, her first career NASCAR Camping World Truck Series top 10. Here is her post-race interview with Regan Smith of Fox Sports, at least the audio of it. You can all hear her thoughts on her career best finish, because it's pretty awesome.
It was a great night for Hailie Deegan. All smiles over here. You told us before the race started the goal the rest of the year was to get top 10s every race. I thought that might be a little bit much, a little tricky to do.
Yeah.
You started off well, though. First top 10 of your career.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We had a lot of meetings just going into this race, going into, the whole playoffs and everything. Obviously, we're not in it, but just being around everything, we're like, hey, we got to finish off the season strong. We've had a rough year. We've had our ups and downs. We've had our good moments, had our not-so-good moments, and to come out here and be able to get a good, solid finish and have something to build off of these next couple races to end the season, it's going to be huge for me.
Boom. Have something to build on. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, you got to be sharing the excitement, right? Like, Hailie Deegan, she finally gets it done. I said when she finally got it done, we would be covering it on this very show, and here we are. It's not in the playoffs, so, it doesn't really count towards championship points or anything, but it's her rookie season, and she's building momentum. Woo! Great stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good finish for Hailie Deegan, but, I mean, it's not a win. We pick winners here, remember? He has no idea what I just said.
Don't even go there. let's by a bit here. She's still in her first year. Top 10.
Yeah.
Everyone knows when Bubba Wallace got his first top 10 with 23:11. So we can love a Hailie Deegan top 10 here. Come on. All right. Because every show needs a Debbie Downer, I guess Zach's still holding down that fort. IndyCar Series.
Someone's got to do it, okay?
No one wants your negativity around here. IndyCar was in action at Worldwide Technology Raceway on Saturday. They were also under the lights, had that tribute pre-race lap in the three-wide formation there. Indy 500 tribute. That's always cool to see when they race here. This race actually got extended for another 5 years, so IndyCar will be running the oval here in St. Louis for the foreseeable future. This race was a wild one. Man, we had a lot of good racing action this weekend, even if the Cup Series package sucked. The Bommarito Auto Group 500, the official name. Zach, 24 cars started this race, only 15 finished. This was Saturday. I know you were in the car. You said almost all day Saturday, except when you had to go to the bathroom and something else. I can't even remember what the other one was. Did you see any of this?
That's
oh, you stopped at the hotel. Okay. Did you see any IndyCar though? Because this one had a whole lot of everything.
No, I don't know why I didn't turn on the TV to see if they had NBCSN, but I was too busy watching SummerSlam, and
you know, that's where I was going to go next. I personally have to thank IndyCar for racing under the lights on Saturday, because SummerSlam was so bad that I was just happy to have something worth my time watching, and I could have two screens going at once. So, you know, I was able to at least get through probably the worst WWE pay-per-view I can remember. And
there's been worse in the WWE Network era. I'll throw that out there now. But
the worst one in recent memory. Remember, we already established my memory doesn't go back that far.
There's a joke that can be made, but I'm not going to make it on air.
Yeah, we're not talking WWE here. Joseph Newgarden gets the win at Worldwide Technology Raceway, led 138 laps in this race. He was one of the 15 cars to actually finish this race. Graham Rahal at Jones, they got the wrecking started just 3 laps in. They were not too happy with one another. I think each placing the blame on one another for that incident. How about Alex Palou? Comes into the race weekend, still in the lead in the championship points for IndyCar. He doesn't finish for the second straight week. As a result, Pato O'Ward finishes runner-up to Newgarden, takes over the points lead. And as a result, the point standings, I mean, even beyond these two guys, Newgarden's in it. Scott Dixon, not a great day for him, but he's still in it. And then you even got Marcus Ericsson kind of hanging around there on the very edge, as he was one of the cars who've managed to finish this race, finishing 9th. So at least getting it done there for him. You know, Colton Herta led several laps in the first half, broken drive shaft, and his night, I mean, the point standings tightened up. O'Ward takes over the lead. There's 3 races left to go in the season. What are you thinking here? Is O'Ward going to be able to hang on? Like we've got a mix of young guys and established IndyCar veterans, aka Dixon, and former champions here up in this battle. Your thoughts on how the point standings all shook out after a wild one at Gateway?
Yeah, so it's going to be tough for my guy Dixon to get back up there in the point and win the title. I think it's between O'Ward and Palou for the series championship this year. Yeah, I mean, what is the points difference right now? I just saw it earlier, but I can't remember it. It's something 3.
I, of course, don't have that pulled up. So I think O'Ward's only got like a 5-point lead.
Yeah, it wasn't by much.
But behind Palou, I would have to see where Newgarden and Dixon actually land. So I can find that here as we finish things up. There are only 3 races to go in the IndyCar season.
And it's double points from last race.
Yep, double points in the finale. The next one is 3 weeks out, though, in Portland. They end with a West Coast swing, but there is another gap here in between. So the August schedule, at least, is complete. So any other thoughts from you on IndyCar or just the weekend that was? I will find these standings here, and we can tie a bow on this officially.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to bring this up. I do like how IndyCar does their point system with the double points for the Indy 500 and the last race. Now, I wish NASCAR would do that with the 500, the 600, the Southern 500. Maybe find a 4th one that we don't know. Like, we've talked about the 4th crown jewel all this year. We don't know which one it is, if it's Dega, Martinsville, Bristol. I mean, we jump around so much. If NASCAR returns to the Indy Oval, we'll give it back to them. But for right now, Indy Road Course is not a road course. Sue me.
Right. You don't have to ask us our opinion, even with the curbing. We wanted the oval back before they even did that race. IndyCar standings, to wrap this up here. Pato Award, 10-point lead over Alex Palou coming out of Worldwide Technology. Joseph Newgarden is 22 back of Award. So, I mean, they're both right there. And then you've got Scott Dixon, who would be – he's only 43 back. So he's there. I mean, it's going to be tough, but he's there. You got double points in the last race, like Zach said. And Marcus Ericsson, Colton Herta's, he needed really a win, I think, here this past week to have any hope. The gap between him and Ericsson, numbers 5 and 6, is substantial. But Ericsson's kind of hanging in this. He's 60 back of Award. Don't count him out just yet, I don't think either. I mean, crazier things have happened. There have been a lot of unique winners in IndyCar. We had the string of different winners to start the NASCAR year. There have been a lot of different winners in IndyCar this year, too. So it's been exciting, I think, in both open wheel and stock for sure. But yeah, hard to beat the oval race there, the final oval race of the season they just ran this past weekend. So if you get a chance to go back and watch that, I would recommend it. Got a few news and notes headlines, it looks like, here this week, Zach. Did you see what Cadillac's doing? They're diving into a little IMSA, the new prototype series. Did you read about this at all?
I thought Caddy was already in IMSA.
Well, they're in IMSA, but they're not in the. Are you kidding me? Did I not lose this article? There it is. They are not in the LMDH class, and they are going to be the 5th manufacturer to join this new prototype class. They will start in 2023. Action Express Racing and Chip Ganassi Racing announced as the partner teams. I know we don't really do a ton of IMSA on this show, but maybe stay tuned. One of us might be foraying into it here in the coming years, so at least one of us. I don't know. Maybe Zach will be dragged along for the ride. I don't know, but yeah. So cool stuff there with them. How about Emmitt Smith? Did you see that news? Got another NFL player here.
Yeah, okay. Forgot the place on the left side. Yeah, and listen, I try to like Jesse Uji because he's a veteran, but it's just he's not a good driver. I'm sorry.
Well, at any rate, Emmitt Smith, Jesse Uji partnering on what will be a full-time Xfinity Series race team starting next year. Jesse Uji Motorsports, I believe, is the name of it. So another tie to the NFL, or tie to another sport here, if you will, in Emmitt Smith partnering on a race team. So we've got him in here. We got Alvin Kamara getting involved this year. Michael Jordan, obviously. So more crossover athletes, and that's definitely cool to see. They will start running full-time at Xfinity level next year. Is there anything else? I already ruined the Kevin Harvick Subway sponsorship. Any other headlines?
Josh Berry too. And then we have some sad news that happened this morning. I think IndyCar posted it this morning. Robin Miller, the famous IndyCar announcer, did pass away, I think last night or this morning, I think. And we want to send our condolences out to the whole IndyCar family, the Miller family. I'm pretty sure we watched, he was one of the first IndyCar guys I knew for when I watched IndyCar on versus in NBCSN and all that, and it's sad.
Yeah, always sad to have guys, influential figures in the world of racing, pass away. So, like Zach said, our condolences there. But we can flip that frown upside down and quickly. At least I can. I don't know about Mr. Debbie Downer over here, resident Debbie Downer, Zach McAdoo, but I'm hyped because it is Daytona Week 2.0, and that's where we're headed. This weekend, the NASCAR Cup and Xfinity Series will be in action. Not only in action, but it is the final regular season race, as we alluded to earlier, talking about that point standings battle between the RCR teammates. So last chance. It's all on the table here at this point. Anyone can win their way into the playoffs, or will Tyler Reddick hang on to that final spot on points if someone already in the postseason field picks up the victory this weekend. But it's Daytona. It's unpredictable. It's tough to handicap, but we're going to do our best here, give you some stats, some DFS, some betting Before we get into that, I did want to lay out, if I can find it, because apparently everything's just jumping away on me here, the actual point scenarios going into this race. Where did it go? I don't have it. Darn it. Basically, the two battles we're looking at, though, here, right, are Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson for the regular season championship. And then you've got Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, separated by 25 points for that final playoff spot. The caveat to that final playoff spot is, of course, we get a new winner, which is very possible on a super speedway. We saw Michael McDowell get his first ever win, major upset here in the 500 earlier this year. What else do you have on Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing, as we start breaking down Saturday night's Coke Zero Sugar 400?
So it was built, Daytona International Speedway was built in 1959 to get the races off the beach. They used to race on the beach and on the streets of Daytona. It's always been 2.5 miles, very high banked. The active winner here, the person who's won the most, I should say, is Denny Hamlin with 3 wins, all coming in the 500. In every active driver in the race Saturday. The most. How do I word this? I screwed up my grammar, and I'm supposed to be a writer. Well, okay. Anyways, anyone who's won this race has only won it once out of all the active drivers in the field Saturday.
So no active driver
has won the
it
400-mile
more
race.
Than multiple wins. The 400-mile race. Correct. All right. There we go. I do have the clinch scenarios now. I found it while Zach was going through some grammar notebooks there. Tyler Reddick, I alluded to this one earlier in the show. He needs 31 points to clinch the spot, provided there is not a new winner. Austin Dillon needs him to fall short of that number. Regular season championship. Kyle Larson clinches it with 32 total points in the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Denny Hamlin needs him to fall short of that number and obviously run well himself, just like Dillon would there on the playoff cut line to clinch the regular season championship. And that's a big deal because it's 15 playoff points for the regular season title winner versus 10, I think it is, for second runner-up in points. Denny Hamlin in particular, he could use all the playoff points he can get, seeing he has not won a race and not a whole lot of stage wins since really it feels like the early portion of the year for him either. So one to watch there as well. It's not just the cut line. And then, of course, a whole bunch of drivers looking to win their way in here. Like Zach said, it's the birthplace of NASCAR. They used to run on the beach. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Daytona. We're both huge fans of the super speedways, even though they're not restrictor plates anymore. I practically still call it restrictor plates because it just feels right to say that. You know, anything that you wanted to address as far as drivers, things to watch for, any just, you know, broad, I guess, setting the table here as we jump into some stats and trends. I've got some average finishes, and I've also got some average driver rating, and then we can kind of use those to look at some DFS and some betting odds.
So as of right now, we talked about your clinching scenarios with Reddick and Dillon. If Reddick and Dillon tie, as of right now, Tyler Reddick has the tiebreaker with his second place finish at Miami over Austin Dillon's third place finish at the 500. Now, if Austin finishes second and they end up tying, Austin would then take over because Austin's second best finish would best Reddick's second best finish because Reddick's only top 5 has been at Miami. So, just thought I'd point that out.
Okay. So I guess here's my question, because that's a good point to make as far as the points battle. How does a second for Dillon this week, how is that better than Reddick's second? Is it because it's later in the schedule?
It's not. So how it would be done is their first best finish. They both have second, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They'd go to their next best finish, where Dillon's third beats Reddick's, I think, sixth is Reddick's next.
Right. Dillon was third in the 500 because I screwed that up earlier in the show. There we go. All right. So that makes sense.
Yes. So
Reddick needs.
I already said it's gonna be nerve-wracking for me. I might. It's either gonna be a celebration or me in tears at the end of the night. So.
Well, it's a little consolation prize for you personally. At least Kevin Harvick got in last week. Well, something. Even though you went on the record on this show saying you don't really love his chances of getting out of the first round, but I think it's just kind of been that type of year for Stewart Haas. Zach, he hadn't won a Cup Series race until the Daytona 500 this year. Obviously a lack of funding kind of with Front Row Motorsports has seen that dream start to the year. He was able to maintain it over the next couple of races, but Michael McDowell, I don't think many people expect him to last long in the playoffs when we get there after Daytona. But he has the best average finish among all active drivers at this track. So maybe that win wasn't necessarily as big of a fluke as a lot of people on Twitter that night going after the both of us for being all hyped wanted to make it out to be. 10 starts. Obviously, he won. That's his best finish. Average finish of 11.0 even. The next best at Daytona, Denny Hamlin. Obviously, he's never won the 400-mile race, but multiple Daytona 500 wins in there. Average finish of 13.5. Michael McDowell knows how to run this track. Interesting one here in third. Bubba Wallace, 8 starts, but a best finish of runner-up, 15.1 average. And then there he is. I talked about how he knows how to run everywhere. He had a top 10 in the 500 earlier this year. Kyle Larson, 9 starts because he missed the second race last year. Best finish of 6th, average finish of 15.8. That's 4th.
If you're looking at racing reference, they only bring up the last 10 races at the track. So Larson has more than 9 races at this track. He's been racing here since 2014, so that'd be 8 years. Holy crap, we're old.
I'm looking at the most recent 10 just to provide that context to you.
Yeah, but you know what I realized, and this is how I realized we're getting old? It's been 6 years since Austin Dillon went to the catch fence. It does not feel like that.
That is crazy. Yeah, thank you for making me feel old right in the middle of our show. Austin Dillon, speaking of, rounds out that top 5 just to make you a little more nervous there with your little RCR battle on the cut line. Average finish of 16.1. He, of course, has won at Daytona within the last 10 starts as well. And, looking at this average finish list, the names on here are just, it's great. Like, this is why we love super speedways, right? Like, it's usually kind of similar names on here, averaging a solid finish. Not at Daytona. Not only is the best average finish only 11th, but within the top 15 average finish. Now, not all of them have a full 10 starts, but Ryan Newman still hanging on up there. Best finish of 5th in the last 10. We've got Ross Chastain, 6 races, 18.2. He needs to win this week, and boy, would I love to see that. Corey LaJoie, 9 starts. He's in the top 15 in average finish. He was 7th here back in February. Almirola's up there, Matt DiBenedetto, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher. A few names in there that need to win. So, literally everything is on the table. I don't think it gets much better than this. I know there are a few NASCAR fans out there who wish it really should. I missed the Firecracker 400 name. I'm not going to lie. Didn't really love getting it moved from Independence Day, but it does not get better than this as a cutoff race going into the playoffs. Are you going to have a rebuttal here to that point?
I don't
you can't deny the excitement.
No, my thing is, why would you? I would have for moving it here. I don't know how people can be against it. I mean, you can say tradition and whatnot, but NASCAR's proven, besides Daytona being the first race, not even that, because Daytona 500 didn't used to be the first race of the year. Besides Coke 600 being Memorial Day every year, there's really not a lot of traditions here in NASCAR.
Or changing traditions, as the sport evolves. That's just part of it. If you want it back on Independence Day, I'm all for a 3rd race at Daytona on Independence Day too. We can bring back the Firecracker 400. We could start it. We could have it on Independence Day, and we could end the regular season at Daytona. I'm all for it. Get one of those road courses out of here. I don't think NASCAR will ever listen to me on that one, but it's your freaking home track. Come on. Anyway.
I think Charlotte's more home now.
Yeah, this is where it began, man. Driver rating. Last, it would be since February 2018, so 7 total races. Now, a couple of these drivers haven't run all 7 of them. Average driver rating at Daytona, the top 5 for you. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott. So a little more chalky, I guess, if you will, in terms of favorite drivers there in the top 5. Ricky Stenhouse, though, he needs to win this week to get in, and he's right there in terms of average driver rating. Looking a little further down, Michael McDowell's on this list. Bubba Wallace in the top 15 there again. Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson's there as well. So, I mean, we don't have DFS pricing, so I know we're both a little bummed out about that, particularly you. But how do we begin to break down this race? I know we just ran through some stats. We can look up more as we go. From a DFS standpoint, knowing how unpredictable Daytona International Speedway is.
So I'm going to tell you straight up, Penske has been amazing at here, and that includes DiBenedetto. I mean, if you look at all 4 of them, they were all there at the end. They were all there at the end of the 5 hole. Keselowski, Blaney, and Logano.
The 3 Penske were, yeah. DiBenedetto wasn't, but yeah, to your point.
But DiBenedetto
Talladega, he was. So
yeah, I was about to say, that was you're about to bring it up. So they all know how to use the draft to get up to the front. And then you have Michael McDowell, who is averaging 1.5 on the super speedways. First at Daytona, second at Talladega. So it's not out of the realm that he could do very well here again. Like we discussed earlier, he's got a 11th place average finish in the last 10 races here. So
that's insane for a super speedway.
In all honesty, that could very well be a lineup right there. It could, maybe. Don't quote me on that. In my head, and doing pricing, that could be a lineup.
So you would consider, if the pricing's right, 5 forwards across the board: Penske, DiBenedetto, McDowell.
I mean, they had it worked out in the 500. DiBenedetto probably would have been there if not for Bell's 14th lap aggression at the 500, which I'll take that until something else happens. But
and to your point, right, like McDowell wins the race, but the only way he wins that race is because the 2 Penske guys wreck out in front of him, going for the win against one another. So if it wasn't McDowell winning this race, it was going to be one of the Penske cars.
And I want to point out, I had picked Keselowski to win the 500. He was going to make the move, and then Logano throws that block. So you can imagine how mad I was.
Yeah, your heart rate was up to 130 that night. I remember getting that picture very well. But
hold on. Never mind. I won't say it.
All right. So I got to ask you, too, here, I think when we're looking at DFS, in terms of typical favorites or big names in the sport, who can we continue to look for potentially? Price dependent. Obviously, we don't have the prices as we're recording a day early this week. But at Daytona, which of the quote-unquote sport favorites, we've talked about Kyle Larson, I think he's one. Price dependent, can we continue to maybe ride this week if we're not going to do a full Penske sweep in a DFS lineup? And which ones do we want no part of based on their super speedway history?
Out of the Toyota camp, take Hamlin. Okay. Don't take Truex. I'd advise the former big 3, which is Harvick, Truex, Kyle Busch. Don't take any of them. I am not big fans of them on the super speedways here. Out of the Chevy camp, you're probably going to want to take one of the RCR drivers. They know how to get around Daytona. We talked about Austin Dillon having 3rd here. Tyler Reddick got himself to the lead last year until he got wrecked. As far as Larson, honestly,
I feel like the thing with Larson is when the prices do come out, he's going to be too high to even, like,
and especially if his team forgets to take out a shipping pack or whatever they messed up at Talladega.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't think they will make that mistake again. I don't know how you could make that mistake once, let alone twice in one season.
They've got it written down on a big board somewhere that they're not going to let that happen again, probably.
For real. Looking at the Hendricks, Alex Bowman, does he interest you at all? He has a solid driver rating. He's 8th in average finish. Now, he's only made 7 Cup starts. would he be a potential sleeper for Chevy? And I got to ask what your thoughts are, generally speaking, on Ross Chastain, because I don't know. I'm feeling a little something that, like, maybe if Austin Dillon's not going to take that spot away from your boy. What do you think of those two?
You said Bowman and Chastain?
Bowman and Chastain.
I don't know. Bowman, there's every time it comes to something like this, I feel like he gets wrecked out too early. So I would not take him. He was in the lap 14 bell wreck in the 500. I don't remember what he did at Talladega this year, so that's probably not a good thing. And then as far as Chastain's too aggressive for my liking. Yes, it could work, but we've seen in last year's 500, it doesn't work out a lot for him. As he wrecked Reddick and a bunch of others in the 500 for 2020. So I gotta. Maybe you could say I'm being biased here because of the guy who's on my hat, but I just don't see Chastain getting it done.
All right, a little bias against the guy who will be on my shirt Saturday night. Anyway, so I think we hit a lot of DFS. Obviously, it's tough. We don't have the prices, but stay tuned, flurrysports.org. Once those prices are out, Zach will have his Coke Zero Sugar 400 FanDuel DFS advice for you, some guys to look at, some guys to avoid for the race Saturday night. As we jump over to some DraftKings betting odds here, we don't have the full complement of odds, and sadly, one of the areas we're missing here is we're a day early recording are the group matchups, so we can't do our usual Group F. Group F probably would have been great this week too.
Press F to pay respects.
Yeah, but at any rate, we do have race lines. Denny Hamlin plus 750 is a demonstrable favorite to win the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Now, multiple Daytona 500 wins. This is a race he's never won. So look at that. Consider that as he's the favorite. Behind him, Kyle Larson, 11-1. William Byron, 12-1, along with Joey Logano and Chase Elliott. Then we got Ryan Blaney, 13-1. Austin Dillon sneaks in there at 15-1. Obviously, this is the group of top 7 drivers I think I just named off there, right? And we're already in double-digit odds. That's due to the beast that is Daytona. This is super speedway racing. This is draft pack racing. But those are, I would say, your favorites at prices of 15-1 or shorter right now. Denny Hamlin obviously knows how to get around here. He's won the biggest race in the sport multiple times. Plus 750 for a super speedway race, I don't know about that one as the odds-on favorites. Does the guy is your official pick in this tier of favorites, but also just your analysis of those drivers there?
So, if I didn't say it's on air, this is us just talking when we were in the camper. I remember how I said I wanted to bring up like the NBC Predictor or the NASCAR Jackpot app that NASCAR has to win money. I think it's a perfect time to bring out my top 3 right here that I have.
All right. You're going for it now, or do you want to wait till the end?
I'll do it now.
Change it up this week. We can have our real picks at the end. All right.
Okay.
All right,
cool.
I
think my race winner is in that group you just said.
Little tease.
Yeah. There you go. But
Denny Hamlin at plus 750. Like if you were betting it though, you can have him to win the race. Like that's fine. But looking at that price, do you want anything to do with that on a super speedway?
I mean, no, because like you could get wrecked out in for anyone, but it's tough. Like this is probably the worst that it is because like anything can happen here, and your perfect bet could go to in 2 minutes.
Exactly. Brendan Gaughan and Jeff Motley, they do Gaughan Racing for VSIN, and they're always arguing over whether Daytona and Talladega are quote unquote a crapshoot. I don't know. Would you say they are a crapshoot, or would you lean toward no? Because there are drivers who know how to run and run well here consistently, I'm like on the fence because when it comes to picking a winner, it's a crapshoot. When it comes to making other bets, like, we can talk top tens, some head-to-heads. That's where I think you can go about it in a strategic way. So while it's tough to bet winners, bettors they have options this week. I don't know. Where do you fall on crapshoot? I'm just curious.
I don't. For some drivers, I think for some drivers it can be a crapshoot because they're super unpredictable. To be top 10 one race, then the next race they'll be back wrecked out because of something that was their fault. But I mean, as far as like you look at a Hamlin or a Keselowski or a Logano, the guys who are usually up there and usually winning races like this, I feel like they know how to get it done. I think they are that good at driving here, and I think that these races can take a type of skill that can be learned that they have.
Skill and teamwork too, right? Like you mentioned, a possible FanDuel lineup might be all Fords, and 4 of them Penske or Penske affiliates in Benedetto with the Wood brothers for this race.
Side note, I think this manufacturer plate racing has ruined plate racing, or whatever I call it now, tapered space for racing.
Expand on that. What do you mean?
I call it a manufacturer because you see how all of Toyotas will pit with each other, Fords will pit with each other, Chevys will pit with each other. That all leads to lines with just working with with your manufacturer. If you work with Toyota, you're an underfunded team. If you work with another, it's stuff like that. Like you won't see HMS work with Penske. You won't see JGR work with RCR and stuff like that.
Right, and the Toyotas are going to probably want to maybe change up their strategy a little bit from the 500. They did a better job of it, if I would remember correctly, at Talladega, trying to pit with one of the manufacturers. They just don't have the bodies. You're pitting. There's 7 Toyotas in the race, and 2 of them are going to be hard pressed to keep up with the draft the entire night. So if you're pitting 5 cars compared to a whole fleet of Chevrolets and Fords coming down, you're not going to be able to get up to speed fast enough. Toyota's automatic disadvantage. So I do hear you.
Where their quality over quantity comes to screw them a little bit because they don't have, like you said, they don't have the bodies. They're just working on getting the quality of the cars up, and they have one of the best guys. But I mean, if he doesn't have help, what good is that?
Yep, 100% hear you. Brad Keselowski came up somewhere in there as I try to maybe segue this back to the odds, but good discussion too. He's 16-1. Just outside of that group. Yeah, we always do. We'll find a place to snip. Kyle Busch also 16-1. Alex Bowman 18-1. Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell all 20-1. Ricky Stenhouse, Matt DiBenedetto, 2 guys who need a win, 22-1. Bubba Wallace, same boat. He's with Martin Truex Jr., 25-1. Kurt Busch, 28-1. Ryan Newman, Tyler Reddick, 30-1. I think I should stop there because I just gave you a bunch. Anyone jump out in that tier in terms of value? You don't have to go too deep into analysis, but pricing-wise.
I think Newman at 3-1 is not as bad as what it might seem on paper. Because if you look at the 2,500, he was there. Not the ending he would have hoped, or honestly, any NASCAR would have hoped.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a rough night. But as far as value goes, Newman might not be a bad play.
Keep in mind that average finish, he's 6th, last 10 races. Best finish, 5th, 16.2 over the last 10. 30-1 on Ryan Newman there. Last group here, I mean, we really could name everyone off if we wanted to in this race because basically anyone has a shot. But Ross Chastain and Michael McDowell are 35-1.
Hold on, before you continue, let's get this out of the open. The 00 and Quinn Houff and Cody Ware do not have opportunities to win this race. If they do, I don't know what I would do at that point. I might just eat this hat if that happens. Somehow, some way, this hat will be eaten if that happens.
Well, the good news is if Quinn Houff wins, he's not going to even be able to jump into the top 30 on points, so Reddick will still be in. So you might not want to eat that hat.
And Cody Ware didn't run all the races, so if he wins, Reddick's still in.
There you go. You know,
So
we're gonna
please,
have to
Quinn
read
Half,
those prices
let me,
off.
Quinn Half and Cody Ware win this race. Make sure that way Reddick keeps in as long as he points his way in.
We got to read those prices off now because I'm curious once we get down there how those compare to your typical intermediate track at Daytona. I'm assuming the odds have to be shorter even for them. At any rate, Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell, 35-1. Chris Buescher, Cole Custer, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe are all 40-1. Kaz Grala, it's a guy I'm keeping an eye on somewhere in my betting picks, maybe DFS if the price is right. He's 45-1 to win outright. Colleague Racing, they got that first Cup Series win. Remember back to the 500 with me for a second, Zach. Kaz Grala was running an excellent race, and then they had mechanical issues. The car went on fire underneath. That was it. They're going to correct that. Colleague is a player. I like Grala as a driver. If you're looking for a long shot or just looking for value in other bets even too, matchups, whatever, Kaz Grala, keep an eye. Ryan Preece, Eric Jones, 50-1 both. Corey LaJoy, 60-1. You could do worse, I think, than Corey LaJoy as a long shot this week. He's going to be motivated after losing out on his chance to even run last week for stupid reasons. And, he knows how to get around Daytona too. He was top 10 here in the 500. Anthony Alfredo is 100-1. Justin Haley has won this race before in the number 77, I think was the car for Spire Motorsports. He's 100-1. Got to say his name because he's won the race. And let's see here. Quinn Houff, 250-1. That's shorter. That's definitely shorter than these other ones, right? Cody Ware is 200-1. So Cody Ware a little cheaper than Quinn Houff. You got David Stars in this race for MBM Motorsports. He's 250-1. Josh Bilicki, Garrett Smithley, Joey Gase. 250-1 is the longest price on the board, just in case you're wondering. But yeah, so there's your long shots. I feel like I read every driver anyway. Who are you looking at? Who sounds interesting? Are you with me on any Grala LaJoy? Do you got somebody else? What do you think?
I think it's going to be, if you're going to pick someone, Dollar and Dream for the Joy. I feel like he's on a mission after missing last week. I'm not going to go into it, but we know what happened, and we all have our opinion on it. I'm not going to dive into it because I'm not going to get into another argument about it. But it's got to be the Joy. He's got, like I said, he's got the fire under him, and he's looking to punish some guys this week.
He is in the top 30 on points too.
I know.
He's in those top 30. So Corey LaJoy wins. I'm just saying.
I don't want to think about it.
Justin Haley's not a full-timer, so unfortunately if he becomes the first active driver to win this race for a second time, it wouldn't matter. And we'd have to listen to Zach going into the playoffs with Tyler Reddick. Looking at some of these other prices, I really don't even know what to do with top 3 or top 5 at the moment. If I study a little more, obviously my betting article will join Zach's DFS article on flurrysports.org. Might have something there. But again, the unpredictability of, finishing that well, I think when it comes to Daytona, top 10 and the new DraftKings option, top 20s, those are the preferred ways to look at this. And then obviously matchups in the groups once we get them. I'm looking for some top 10 prices that just jump out right now. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is listed twice. I don't know if he's even money or plus 120, but DraftKings has him listed as both right now. Plus money on him. We read off his stats earlier. Speaks for itself. Michael McDowell's plus 160 for a top 10. Top 20, I just got to see where he's at. Kaz Grala you'd have to lay 135. So interesting here, too. You'd have to lay money on every driver in the field for a top 20 finish, including Anthony Alfredo, down to the part-timers, minus Kaz Grala, and Bilicki and Houff are the only two drivers driving in a full-time seat that are plus money for a top 20. So you're laying money top 20 pretty much across the board. Maybe Justin Haley plus 150 for a top 20. I don't know. You pick winners, but is that crazy?
I'm sorry. I was reading something that I was looking for something else that I was going to show you in a second here, but which is
Okay, great. Would you bet Justin Haley plus 150 for a top 20? I'm just going to shorten the whole question.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, anything can happen here. I think that 77 could very well get into the top 20, and it's not out of the realm that Justin Haley, who locked his way into a win before to get it here.
Yeah. Right.
I will say luck into his win because that's exactly how it happened.
Okay. He won it, though. Looking at manufacturer-specific wagers, to win the race, Chevy's plus 130, Ford plus 140, Toyota, smaller playing field there, plus 330. They're the long shot. Curious if you would go with Ford at plus 140 there. We talked about the strengths of Penske. Michael McDowell knows this the super speedway racing well. So that's one question. My other question is Bubba Wallace is 6-1 to finish as the top Toyota. Would you rather bet that Bubba Wallace, top Toyota finisher, 6-1, or Denny Hamlin, obviously the favorite to be the top Toyota finisher, plus 130? Two questions for you.
I will take Denny. I feel like Bubba's going to wreck out.
Okay. All right. What about manufacturer? Do you like Ford plus 140 at all? Or?
Yeah, I'd stick with Ford. I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of those Penske guys. They get up there and get the win.
All right. Don't have groups. We do have some head-to-heads listed already. Most of them are even split. Minus 110, both sides. Minus 115, minus 105. Hey, Zach, Tyler Reddick is a head-to-head against Ross Chastain in a matchup. Minus 115 for Reddick, minus 105 for Chastain. I might have to bet that just on principle. There is one that stands out to me because there's only one head-to-head right now that has plus money on one side. That is Denny Hamlin against Kyle Larson. These two are battling for the regular season points championship. Denny Hamlin's laying $135. Kyle Larson plus 110 on the comeback. A head-to-head matchup at Daytona. Obviously, Denny Hamlin knows how to drive here. Kyle Larson does too. We already talked about that. The plus 110, I don't know. A head-to-head at Daytona, might have to take that.
I can't take Larson here. He said himself he hates this place. He's not a fan of this type of racing. Denny thrives in this type of racing that we've seen in the 11.
All right, fair enough. That's really all I got is in terms of DraftKings odds. Because again, we're down a couple. What are you pulling up over here that you need to throw at me?
Okay, but no. Before I was going to show you what I showed you. I got my top three for the NASCAR jackpot races. I'm here. I'll go 3, 2, 1. Third, I have Denny Hamlin. Second, I have Matt DiBenedetto. First, I have Joey Logano getting his second win of the season. Or third.
He's second.
Yeah, it would be a second. So that's what I have here. I feel like it's good. We're gonna get a recurring winner instead of a new winner here.
I feel like we're gonna go that way too, but my heart says we're not gonna be boring, and we're gonna get a new winner. There's already an article up on FloriSports.org. I laid out 3 guys who basically need to win this race to get in. Check that out. Austin Dillon's in there. Of course, Ross Chastain's in there. Zach's runner-up is in there. As for my pick to win, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the betting article. I really don't know where to go right now on this race. There's so many. I gotta think more.
Okay.
I might not even write the article honestly until I get down there. By the way, I am going to the Coke Zero Sugar 400. I will be in the stands at the World Center of Racing. I'm over the moon this week. It's been a blur. Driving down tomorrow, one shot in it. No hotels for me.
Don't drink that piss water birthday cake bang. Drink key lime pie.
You didn't give me one. You said you were going to give me one. And
I told you I forgot to bring it to Watkins Glen, okay? Calm yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So, here's what I was going to show you earlier. Don't forget about this moment for the 500. Where's the share screen? There we go. So don't forget about this moment that happened in the 500. Reddick this team does not give up. if he gets wrecked early, you will see something like this again. I feel like he needs the points. So, I mean, this 18. It's gonna happen.
Thank you for showing me my favorite car from the 500, driving around without a hood after the accident, and now you're never give up. What do you think? Every car is going to finish like that, and he's going to be able to win this time driving like that? Come on,
I'm not.
Come on.
I told you I have winning, so I don't want to hear that. But yeah, it's never give up, man. He's gonna make it. Please.
On that note, be sure to follow us, subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. You're going to take over the rest of this. What else we got to say? Do the spiel.
Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, whatever the hell else we are at. Did I say iHeartRadio? I don't think I did. There too. Follow us at Burnt Rub Racing on Twitter. Follow me at CT McAdoo. He's still not on there.
Coming back soon. Maybe this weekend, huh?
We don't know.
Mystery.
FlurrySports.org for our articles. I have my overview up, I believe. He's got his article about. I knew I had it the right way. It didn't show up. He's got his article. This is all bag, I'm telling you. He's got his article of the three guys that need to win. I might write another article for rundown of stuff for this weekend. I don't know.
Here's one. Whether you do it or I do it, preferably you would do it because I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it because I have to drive 17 hours tomorrow. Long shots. I went over like the three guys I went down, right, are like the top three. Like they have momentum. They need to win to get in. But these are guys like you think, yeah, you can go win on an intermediate track. What if we did either of us does an article, and we can even include the betting odds, not if they're out, if you want to do it that way, but like a Corey LaJoy, something like that. Like crazy, yeah. But they have a chance, and you can use the stats and all that. So
yeah, it's not out of the realm. I mean, we saw McDowell do it, and he was probably a long shot. Well, he was like 100-1 or 60-1, depending on where you bet him at. So yeah. Speaking
of stats and trends, by the way, I do have an article coming up on that too. So you got that extra content this week. So we're filling it up. We've been a sleeping giant here the last couple of weeks. But we come back for Daytona.
And it's all because of this stuff. Oh, we aren't sponsored. Why am I doing this? Forget that. We're not sponsored.
You killed that when you said piss water. So that's your fault.
Only birthday cake. Only birthday. Like, I'm sure that they have. Bang! Come sponsor us. Come talk to us. We'll help you out with some flavors.
We would. We'll. I mean, I'll continue to talk nicely about them. I don't know about him, but I never called your drinks piss water. So pretty sure that you can fact check that. You can go back and listen to every second of the show. I've never said a Bang tastes like piss water. I just said Rainbow Unicorn's not my favorite flavor. Episode 24, this has been of Burnt Rubber Racing, Daytona Week 2.0. I'm going to be there. I'm hyped up. Zach will be watching. We'll see whose heart rate. I might have a higher heart rate than you just because I'm there. We need to compare again this weekend. Super Speedway Racing, you can't beat it. And it's the cutoff race, last race of the NASCAR regular season. Don't forget the Xfinity's running Friday too. Daytona, you can't beat it. You got anything else?
No, I think
you're very mad at me. I'm gonna get out of here before.
I'm not mad. We gotta end this.
I feel like lasers are coming out of your eyes pretty soon and burning right through my skull because of my comments. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.